another edition of Acoustic Alternatives. We are in Grove Studios in Ypsilanti, and I got to, once again, as I always do, thank Grove Studios for being such excellent hosts. They were the ones that encouraged me to do a podcast in the first place. If there is no support from Grove, there's no reason for me to do this. These people are wonderful. It is a pretty cool space, and my guest even said so right when she walked in the room. My guest this time is an artist I've been a fan of for, well, gosh, when did that first album come out? 20 years ago now, Mindy?
Yes, 2004.
Jeez,
Isn't
21
that
years
crazy?
ago. Mindy Smith is my guest. Hello.
Hi.
It is so nice to meet you and see you in person.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So 2004, that was, or 2003, we said? What did we say?
2004.
2004.
Yeah.
So just last year, 20 years later,
Yeah.
your newest album came out. It is called Quiet Down. I think I got it on a camera there. And initially it was like, oh, that's pretty good. And then as I was preparing for this interview to re-listen to it, because I got it, October or whenever it came out.
Yeah.
It made the pile for a good week or two, and then I liked it, and I put it away for a while, just like you do when you have a lot
Right.
of CD. I spent the whole week listening to it. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good.
Thank you.
4 stars in Mojo. I think I just saw that from Compass Records, bragging about you on that too.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm yeah. That was a cool was a cool review, and just to have slowly people starting to realize, oh, I've got a new album, because it's been a minute since I put something out.
Just a little bit.
Yes.
Well, you're tuned for something, and I don't know if it's the first song that I heard or a song from the new album. What are you tuned for?
Well, I mean, I can do a song from either.
You play whatever you're ready to play. I'm just ready to hear you sing.
Well, let me see here, because we've got we've got a little bit of cold weather, and anybody who plays the guitar out there knows guitars do not do well and enjoy and take on cold weather very well.
They used to be trees. They used to be out in the cold, but now they are guitars, and they forget about that whole tree thing.
Yes. All right, so let me tune that. I apologize.
Not a problem.
But that's how we do. Maybe I'll do my a song I wrote with the wonderful, fabulous, iconic Matraca Berg. It's a song called Jericho.
This was the first single off the record.
And I think it's the most current single. I think the first single was something to write in stone, maybe.
Okay.
Going down to Jericho, old time gospel on the radio, bones and signs on the desert road shoulder, raising up hell like a holy road, rolling down to Jericho. Jordan River or the Rio Grande, pilgrims searching for the promised land. The horizon shimmers like a fever dream, red-tailed hawks and angels' wings roll, going down to Jericho. If the sky shake the ground, break the silence with a mighty sound. Love is calling 7 times around. Let your arms bow till the walls come down.
Our guest on Acoustic Alternatives is Mindy Smith. That's a track you can find on Quiet Town, the latest release from October of last year, and it is called Jericho. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you again doing these things in front of me. Before we dig into talking about the record, I want to talk about you a little bit. You grew up in Long Island, right?
I did.
Tell me about that. It was kind of a densely populated area, right?
Yes, it's interesting. It's like a lot of small towns stuck together very closely because there's so many districts within a district and within a city, within a county, and so it's suburbia, if you will, out where I grew up. And so there was always the big city right next door, but I did anyway, took it for granted. We didn't go there, but maybe once or twice a year. So Long Island was, sort of a place to just kind of, do life.
What kind of stuff did you do for fun besides, I'm sure music was part of that?
Well, I'm a preacher's kid, so there was a lot of, good friendships and close bonds with folks like my age, my teenage age of my youth group there, I would say. So that was a big part of my life. Typical 80s kids, Ma, can we go to the mall? Type of things. And she would say, well, what are you going to do? Because she didn't want us to be those kids that, with the mall rats getting into trouble. But, I think just trying to survive life as a kid, and a teenager and we all had struggles even back then. We just didn't have, the social medias to sort of exploit it.
Our lives would have been very different. I don't think we're that far apart in age, but it seems like our lives would have been maybe worse had we had that.
I think it's a different set of things to deal with,
For sure.
Pressures and the very real pressures, if you will.
Yeah. Well, it's tough being an interviewer and not asking questions that have been asked before because
Okay.
you've done these before. But I try to set the table, let people know the person behind the music a little bit. So I know that other people have spoken to you about your past and your music that you liked when you were a kid. It sounds like, from what I've read about your music taste, that you and I would have been friends. Depeche Mode has 2 of my top 10 albums of all time. Still love U2. Went to see him at the Sphere. Went out of my way to do that. I wish more people got to enjoy the Sundays. I wish they were still around doing great music. Prince is a genius. I mean, whether you like Billy Joel or not, you lived near what he's known for, being part of. He was a big part of my growing up, just musically speaking. So I just feel like with that, if I'd known you, we probably would have been, hey, let's talk about music. So,
right. No, my mom. Fun fact. My mom actually went to high school with Billy Joel.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's like a lot of small towns. No.
Yeah.
But back in those days, I think Hicksville was much smaller. And Long Island, they did have corn farms out there. They still do have farms out there in Long Island, believe it or not. Yes, I listened to like a lot of the Yaz, remember Upstairs at Eric's?
Of course. I just watched an Alice Moe DVD.
Yes. See? So I was really into sort of that music that, kind of got a little dark and deep, but also had shiny things, and just colorful, shiny things as well. On top of like The Cure was a big go-to.
Sure.
And I guess just it was easier to find there because that was a lot of this the music that was being played during that time, and then so you would go deeper into where those other bands might be. If you heard Depeche Mode or the Police or something, you're like, well, I want to know more about who else does this kind of music that's really kind of I'm connecting with.
Yeah.
But as I grew and all the things, I also listened to a lot of like choral music because I really enjoyed classical choral music. I love jazz. So I'm all over the place.
That's good.
Yes.
Well, that era of your life is a very formative time. Have you ever thought about doing a covers record of those kinds of songs? I mean, you write great songs. You don't need to do a covers record, but
it would be fun. I've done a few covers. I did do a cover of "Tell Me Lies" by Fleetwood Mac.
I didn't know until recently that it is on this collection. Which
is it?
Yes, they put it on this.
Okay.
It's collected your Vanguard records.
Yes.
It's your first, and I didn't even know that was a bonus track that I didn't own until I didn't own it.
Yes.
Now I do.
Well, it was a bonus track on an album I put out called "Stupid Love." And, we just thought that was still around the time where CD, before streaming was like the only thing really
Sure.
people were doing. But that was sort of another, time where you did a bonus track just to sort of, more incentive, or to do it, if you wanted to partner up with another, like you would, partner up with Target and say, hey.
Or iTunes.
Or
whatever.
iTunes,
Yeah.
excuse me, whatever. I didn't mean to name drop. You can.
You can
I wasn't.
name drop.
You can take that out. But I mean, just in general, like a corporation that would, maybe, show a little love and put it on an end cap here or there. But, but again, I'm also a glutton for, I enjoy doing things like that. So sort of like, oh, you want me to do an extra song? Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do this one. I did a cover of, what's the No One Is to Blame.
Oh, cool. Howard Jones is a favorite of mine as well,
Yeah, on my album, my first independent release album called Mindy Smith. I got really creative with the title.
I don't have that one.
Oh, man, I should have brought it for you. I'm
Well,
sorry. I didn't know that.
You know where to find me. Well, I think it'd be interesting to hear you do a Depeche Mode song. Not right now, just like in my head. Like, what would that voice sound like singing Black Celebration, Enjoy the Silence, or whatever?
Man, Enjoy the Silence.
Great
Yes.
stuff.
Oh, I did go to see Tears for Fears, and when they came to Nashville last. These little things that you go, because you can sing along, and it's nice. And they played that big old, what was it, Bridgestone or something like that, arena.
Well, a little closer to who you are today, I also learned that folks like Sean Colvin, Patty Griffin, whose debut album is like one of the definitive records in the acoustic music genre, in my opinion, that's also part of what the musical path you were on. I suppose for me, if I'm trying, not that this is about me, but like similarly, Indigo Girls were kind of the door opener for me to acoustic music. MTV Unplugged was there too, but like when I heard them do Land of Canaan, it was like, ooh, this reminds me of the harmonies of Simon & Garfunkel that I grew up on.
Yeah.
And it was this whole like, we open the door, peek inside. So that's, that
They were the gateway.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. And I would say probably one of my first, one of my first introductions to an acoustic, driven bands,
Right.
Absolutely, the Indigo Girls. Heck yeah.
So definitely all part of who you are.
Yeah, Gillian Welch. Absolutely. John Prine. John Prine was a big one for me. Nancy Griffith was a big one for me, and they're sort of more, they're even more, I see it as a time frame. You get the John Prines, and then the Sean Colvin comes in, and Sean Colvin blows you away. Patty Griffin blows you away, So it really did help to sort of shape where I felt my music might take me. I would say that, absolutely.
Like that first album that I haven't heard sounds a little bit more like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, someday maybe I'll get to hear it. How did you get discovered by Vanguard, who were the ones who really put you into the public?
Oh, Vanguard.
Well,
okay. Well, it's, the album we were talking about was the first one, my independently
right.
released.
But I'm saying next steps. So you had that record out. How did Vanguard Records discover you?
Oh, that was way after Vanguard. Vanguard Records was when I was, running around Nashville just writing songs, trying to get something going. I got a call from Steve Buckingham, who was one of the president over there at Vanguard in Nashville, and he rang me up to just come sing on this album celebrating the songs of Dolly Parton. And so I didn't have a deal or anything. I was just doing, the writer thing there. And I said, yes, of course I would be. I was meanwhile jumping up and down. And I wound up singing a song called Jolene, and Dolly, got on board with it. And then the next thing naturally came to, maybe do a project with Vanguard. So that sort of started that ball rolling for me in terms of, getting paired up with Kevin Welk, and the Welk group is we're overall in that family. And I would say because I had written a song called Come to Jesus that they had heard, that sort of opened the door to do the Jolene project, and everything sort of kind of fell into its own place.
Well, you mentioned it. and you played it in warm-up. Is this a good time to throw it in? It seems
We
like
can
it is. You
try.
just said it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be stupid not to ask you to play it.
Yes, I can give it a go. You know, and I'm having that rock and roll horse voice happening here, as you said earlier, pony voice, my little pony voice. Let me do this.
to Jesus, let him hold you in his arms.
Mindy Smith is my guest today on Acoustic Alternatives. That is the song that turned me into a fan in my geeky process of listening to records. I rate every song on a record from 1 to 10 so that I can figure out what my favorite albums of the year were. That's a 10. That's a 10. Every time. Every time. That just moves me every time. Thank you for doing it for me.
Thank you. I'm glad to share it. Thanks.
You're listening to Acoustic Alternatives from Grove Studios. This is a studio that is in the Ypsilanti, city of Ypsilanti, between Ann Arbor and Detroit. So if you're a musician in the area and you're watching or listening to this podcast and you're going, gosh, I wish I had a place to practice and not annoy my neighbors, get out of the garage and get into the studio. There's lots of different studios. We're in the big one here. There's some smaller ones. There's even a spot for DJs to practice so you can do all your mixes really loud and not annoy anybody. So I say, if you're one of those people looking to make some noise and not be an annoying person, come to Grove Studios. They've been really great hosts for me since I started doing this in 2020. Mindy, do you consider yourself, or did you consider yourself, a country artist? Or do you, well, people generally don't like tags, but I don't know that I do, is why I'm asking.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say country. I think that country now, the line is so open, to different tones and voices and approaches. I do have to say that I feel like there's been a home there for me for many years, and I'm thankful for that. They've given me a little room to hang out in there, and so
can hang with the cool kids.
Right. And Nashville has that's basically when I moved there, that was the thing to do. In fact, when I moved there, I had a lot of we love what you do, but we don't know what to do with it until they realized there was a place to put this type of music, and so now it's just a lot broader, and there's a lot more opportunity for different artists with different influences in Nashville to sort of get their leg in the door, if you will. So that's awesome. There's, you just have to, keep pushing that door more and more open. And, even just the Opry has, just become a lot more inviting to different styles of music. And so just, slowly but surely, there is room in country music for all kinds of things. So.
The Americana umbrella seems to fit better because it's a bigger umbrella. It can include country-tinged, old country, singer-songwriter. Like that umbrella is, to me, where if I had to put you somewhere, if you need to be somewhere.
Yes, and I think the Americana umbrella, too, now is because when, even when I was, starting out, it was a newer umbrella to even exist. I think it was a folk was really the dominant,
This was a possibility coming in later in the.
No, I dig it. No, it's fine. This is real life, I mean, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about real life, and we're living it. So, yeah, I think Americana has definitely, because of things like the Americana Association, which, started just maybe a few years before I even hit the scene, have, created a really important space for so many artists. And that umbrella is a place I reside, I think. Absolutely.
I may have got the timeline wrong when you were talking about your self-titled record, because I know you have a self-titled record that came out after your Vanguard records. I was thinking you put out one before.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't
signed.
No, and I wasn't with it enough to have figured that out.
Okay.
And I have, again, everything I do, I have always been blessed to have, with the team of folks that help me, achieve goals, because I need help.
Well, that was the record that preceded Quiet Town, right? And that was the one that was 12 years ago, 10 years ago.
That was the 12 years ago one that gaping hole of time of, where I did release, singles and do some things with film and TV and had been working on other things. This is the first full-length album since then, yeah.
That one's at home because you already autographed it, along with the other two, because I met you at the Arc. I forgot about that because they were all signed already, because clearly I must have met you, and I know you played there.
Yes.
That one's at home. But did you miss in that process between the 12 years, the process of doing a record? Did you miss the recording, the photo shoots, the videos? Is that stuff that you enjoy doing?
I love doing the recording in the studio, and I love my approach has, I really love getting just stellar players in a room playing, you play in Nashville anyway, you pick your players. You get a great producer like I did with, all of these albums that, and a lot of them I've co-produced. But this one I handed the reins over to Nielsen Hubbard and let him, just have the hat on this album. So, we collaborated on who to get in the studio, and then you just play the songs, and they sit down, they write their little charts out, and then the next thing you know, you're in there tracking a song, and what for me doing with a live band is there's something so magical, and I think it comes across in an album, and I've done songs where you build and you build with different players come in because sometimes that's the only way you can do it, but to have the luxury to just get a killer band to just come in and do their thing and bring their own artistry. On this album, I've got folks like Will Kimbrough and
Previous guest on the podcast.
Right. I've got folks like Danny Mitchell, Lex Price, who has been a steadfast musician in my world, and Megan McCormick. I mean, so just having, and Juan Solorzano, those were the main characters who played the instrumentation on this album. And I feel really lucky, I guess is what I say, because they really do bring their artistry to it. It's not just about me, it becomes about the collective.
Yeah. Well, in that time there was a pandemic, clearly, and many people just shut down. Were you one of those people that just couldn't? And clearly, you couldn't perform. That's not an option when there's a pandemic. But were you like, I don't want to do anything? Or were you writing then as well?
I would say I was kind of really comfortable isolating. I'm not gonna lie.
That's all right. Be yourself.
But again, then I did get old. So I guess for me, it really gave me an opportunity to get back to writing, by myself. I had gotten, where I love writing with other people, and I still do. I have a lot of writers that I enjoy sitting in a room with and just hashing out a killer tune. And on this album, there's quite a few of those songs represented. But it got me back to, okay, I could find some way to share how I'm feeling about this or that, or just give myself some time to hang out with my guitar and see what happens. Because I'm melodically driven as a writer. So, oftentimes I have all these melodies. I've got a whole phone full of melodies with nothing else going on. Because, I wait for the melody to tell me what it wants to say. And so maybe that approach is sort of a little less dependable or reliable, but when it does work, it works out really well. So it just takes me a little longer to get to like, I have a collection of songs I want to do.
Well, if you want some really depressing lyrics from when I was a teen, I used to write poems because I'm not a songwriter, so I'll give them to you.
Poems,
if you want.
That's
yeah,
sweet.
I mean, they were songs in my head because I'm not a performer like you are. But anyway, you've gotten in your career some pretty good opportunities. We mentioned you got to work with Dolly Parton, Buddy Miller, Kenny Chesney is on your records. Is there a wish list of other folks that you would like to?
Huge.
Oh my goodness, name a couple.
Oh yeah, I would love to. I don't know. I mean, I would collaborate with. Let's see. I would collaborate with Gillian Welsh. I would collaborate with Sean Colvin. I would collaborate with so many people. Pink.
Approach them. Why would you not approach them?
Because
you got nothing to lose.
I know. Exactly. I need to start taking that into account. What do I have to lose?
If they say no, like, well, whatever. I still have my 4, 5, 6 records that I put out without you anyway. Yeah. I don't need you.
Oh my gosh, there's so many people I just love to listen to and enjoy. And I sit back and I go, wow, listening to their awesome singing.
Well, how long did it actually take you once you started putting the record together to put it together? Was it a year-long process or just a couple of months?
I think, well, no, we made the album, and then there was a couple, things I wanted to just feel good in my personal self with my, I just wanted to get zen with myself and make sure I was my best self, coming out here and sharing this album with everybody. and just to get the right folks, as a team, with getting this album out. And so, those things take time and focus, and I think that time is going to work itself out how it's supposed to. So, no, I was very eager to share this album with everybody when I was done with it. But, I had, again, like you say, you have to do all the things. You got to do the photo shoots.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, fortunately, I'm lucky to have a photographer that I really love to work with named Fairlight, Micaiah Fairlight Hubbard. And because she can make anybody, or at least she does me, look and feel good about themselves. But that I don't enjoy photo shoots. I'm not the gal who enjoys doing those things. But I do appreciate somebody who's able to make you feel comfortable and make it a good experience. And so I have a few friends that I've worked with in the past that have been able to do that with me. It's not an easy task with me.
Were there more songs that you wrote that didn't make it to the record that you had to cut just because you're like, I don't want to sing this every night. This isn't one of those songs that I want somebody to ask for.
Right. Those are the litmus tests. Do I want to sing this every night? And actually, I will say there were some songs that I thought could work on, and they may go on an album. None that only one song that we cut. So we cut 12. And so one song was pretty much saying what all the songs were saying, and it just didn't wind up sitting in the record anywhere I wanted it to be. And it was actually the one song that I wrote that got me thinking about making another record.
Oh, that was the one they released in 2023?
Yeah, that was a song called Little Wings.
Gotcha.
And so I just thought, let this little guy fly.
Yeah, there you go.
Let it go out there and see what
Nice.
happens. And it was a sort of myself kicking myself in the butt to just go ahead. What, like you were saying, what do you got to lose? You got to do it.
I think the favorite for me on the record is the title track. Which town is the Quiet Town? I'm pretty sure that's not Long Island. What town are you singing about in that one?
Initially, I was sitting on my back porch in Nashville, and I moved to Nashville in 1998. It was a different landscape, I would say, and I got to thinking a plane flew overhead. It's like literally in the first line, and I got to think, what? When I moved here, I don't remember that being a thing. Like, as frequent, and just all the things that I remembered. What drew me to Nashville, and it's different. It's different now. I used to be able to roll up on Broadway and park right there on Broadway. And, now no one can park on Broadway.
Right.
It's become a different, just a different world down there, and it's okay. It is what it is. But just being able to say, hey, I remember being a part of something pretty cool back in the day. I guess then I started to think, this song could be about any time or any place or any town. That maybe feels like, the charms have shifted a little bit, to in a different direction. Some for the good and some for the not so good. But it became more of a universal song, so for everybody.
Another favorite on the record, every once in a while, I'm guessing that one, I could be wrong, you have to correct me, is essentially pretending a relationship isn't really over. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, and I think when we talk about relationships, I wouldn't say that's in the forefront of when I'm thinking about when I'm singing this song now, or, but I think, any relationship that can, sort of suffer, whether that's, you kind of, lose track of, time with a friend or whatever, that could definitely be incorporated in that. I think for me, it's more of a, sometimes just to get through the day, you got to just tell yourself, hey, it's not raining outside. Yeah. Even though it is,
Right.
It's sunny somewhere.
Somewhere. In Philadelphia, apparently. I'd Rather Be a Bridge, another favorite. It seems to have an important message for us. Where did that come to you from?
Yeah, so I wrote that with K.S. Rhoads, and he is a tremendous songwriter and just ball of energy. And I guess I was out. Just the basics were just being out there on walking around downtown, and with Heather. She's not here right now. She's couldn't make it to the studio here today.
Doing business stuff.
She is. Yeah, she's getting down to the brass tacks. But just looking at underneath the bridge, I think it may have been the pedestrian bridge there, which is an old bridge, but now they've turned it into a walking bridge. And just saying, the conversation was something like, "I'd rather be a bridge than be a wall," something like that. And I said, that's nice. I like that. Let's. And the next day I had to write with KS, and so he and I got in there, and he ran with it. I'm like, "Slow down!" I'm typing all these things that are coming out of his face.
It's a good reminder, though.
I think just to have to me, I feel like, and this is where I feel like I have to remind myself, sometimes I do like to close myself off. I like to, protect my little self, and I think sometimes I have to make more of an effort to be vulnerable to people and put myself out there and let them know that, hey, don't forget, I'm here for you too, Yeah, so.
Very good. The game has changed a bit since your last release. You did put out that single in 2023. Do you find, because I personally, when somebody puts out a single and then it never appears on an album, I kind of forget about it. So for me personally, that isn't the best way to get my attention. Did you think that got enough attention, or do you think that the album got more attention than the single, or did you not really notice because you're more worried about performing and writing?
I think, ideally, yeah, well, you want to share music and get attention. As an artist, it's sort of, we create because, we want to share something new and colorful with the world. I think with the single or whatever, it's just a different time to sort of navigate, people's attention spans. I know my attention span is like minuscule. Like I'm always, what's next? Even like I used to, do you remember back in the day we would like watch a movie like 400 times?
Yeah.
I watch a movie once.
Right.
Now.
Same.
Yeah. So it's sort of just trying to figure out how that comes into play and how to make it work. I think that's what everybody's trying to do. And so I try to keep perspective on that. But, there's some albums that, even I find myself, now and then, I pick up an album and I'm like, oh my gosh, I listened to it 400 times, I can't stop listening to it. And then there's some I know are really good. And then I'm like, but I'm thinking about the next, thing I have to do or whatever. So I just have to take that into account. And I think also, the streaming world is a different place to be. It's just different.
Yeah, if it's on a mix, it's going to be heard. But if it's by itself, to me, I'm not going to remember it's there. I will grab an album all the time to play an album, but I don't really think to go, oh, where's that single?
Right.
That's as a consumer, that's where I am. Where are you as far as do you like CDs? Do you like vinyl? As a music fan, I know you must be a music fan. Cause
I am a music fan.
What do you consume? How do you consume it?
I actually still drive a car with a CD player in it.
You might have noticed there's a CD collection here.
I love hard copy CDs. I do love it. I have myself a record player. I need to get it set up where I'm more, aware of it in my space, Mm-hmm. But I think I do. I think I like the analog experience, if you will.
Tactile, something to hold on to. Look at the liner notes.
I love that.
And I can see that Will Kimbrough played on your record, right? That's the only one going to know. If it's a digital single, probably not going to look it up.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
And I think, too, it's like, I think there's that experience there is a longing for it. I think more and more people are realizing, when it all hits the fan, and let's say these streaming services go down for 24 hours.
Or your hard drive crashes.
Right. What are you going to do? I know what I'm going to do. I've got CDs.
I've got a whole lot of them,
I've got CDs. Nanny.
You can't have them. The new record is fantastic, as I mentioned at the top of the interview. Quiet Town is the name of it. Throw it back into the camera view so people can see what it looks like. Want to do a song from that one?
Yeah. Give me a second to tune here.
Okay. This is Acoustic Alternatives. Grove Studios is the home base of the podcast. And it has been since the fall of 2020 when I had my guests wearing masks. You can go back and find 70-some different episodes if you're new to the podcast. Thank you to the now 1,000 subscribers on YouTube who are sort of paying attention to what I'm doing. That's fantastic, and I appreciate your support. Now, I should thank Jeff Daniels personally because it was kind of his doing that being on the podcast brought me a lot of new people. But Mindy's here, and this is exciting.
Oh, I know what one I'll do for you. Even though it's a piano-driven song, so just pretend I'm playing the piano.
Okay, what song are you going to do? Introduce and tell me about it.
This is the Rather Be a Bridge song.
Cool.
Except in tune probably would be better. Like I said, guitars don't like cold weather. Sometimes I'm a double source for days. Sometimes I'm a sparrow singing in a cage. Most times I'm just trying not to fall, and I'd rather be a bridge than be a wall. Sometimes I'm a canyon full of gold. Sometimes I'm a cavern dark and cold. Most times I'm below the waterfall, and I'd rather be a bridge than be a wall. Our bridges always lead us somewhere. Walls keep us apart. Every time I let somebody in, somehow I just wind up at the start again. And I am lucky I survived it all. Still I'd rather be a bridge. I'd rather be a bridge. I'd rather be a bridge than be a wall.
It's a song you can find fully produced, not acoustic.
Right.
Piano included on Quiet Town.
There's a lot of that on that one, yeah. Production.
It's a beautiful song. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Sorry about that little tuning problem.
Oh, that's okay. It was just a pleasure to have you here performing in front of me and talking about your life and your career. Before I let you go, what do you do for fun when you're not on tour? What is your I'm home, I'm not on tour, I'm going to go do this?
Honestly, and it's a dangerous thing, I go thrifting.
Oh, no.
I know. It's terrible.
You can get CDs for 50 cents. At
I
thrift
know.
shops.
I found some. I've been once or twice. I've seen
You're
my
so
own.
Yes, I'm sure you have.
I'm like, oh, wow, this is cool. I've made it. I'm Goodwill.
Should buy it just to resell it at my shows.
Yeah, well, you know.
I would do it if
I wouldn't not.
I would do it if I were you, for sure. Mindy, thank you again for sharing your stories and your songs. Quiet Town is excellent. As I mentioned, I'm so glad to have you back.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, can I count on another record before I die?
Oh, yes.
Okay, sure.
We won't let this much time go between.
Okay,
I can't do it.
Thanks for checking out Acoustic Alternatives. I have more guests booked. It's been a little bit of a gap since the last ones when I had Stephen Page and Ken and Wren on the podcast. But later this month, I will also be recording podcasts with Brian Vander Ark of the Verve Pipe and David Howley of the band We Banjo 3 have booked, and one more in the works. So Mindy was kind enough to agree to be here. And
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And again, sorry, I'm a little bit hoarse this one, but
It's all
it was a
good.
good chat, and I enjoyed my time with you.
Me too. Good to see you.